All right.
Ready stands.
All right. This is the radial arm demo. Radial arm saw. What's its function again? What's the primary use? Cross-cut the rough leg. So we cross-cut pieces to rough leg. And so you'll note, here's the saw right here. It has an extension table extending to the left of it, because most of the pieces you cut here are going to be big long boards. Cut them to more manageable sizes, and then from there, take whatever you don't use, goes back in the lumber rack, whatever you need, you continue with the cutting process, whether it's planing, jointing, then ripping, and moving on from there. Okay? And so this saw right here, the radial arm, it is specifically for cross-cutting. It's just a cross-cutting machine. Some machines we have can do both, but not this one. This one is set up just for cross-cutting. Now, a few parts that we need to point out. All right. First of all, the switch on the saw is right out at the front of the arm. They call it a radial arm because you can change the angle on this. This is a radial shaped cutting piece, meaning you can tell by the grooves cut across the table here that this is the pivot point, and so this can turn. It's a radial arm. So this is the arm, and the switch on it is out at the front side of the arm. Now, not all radial arms are that way. Some radial arms have the switch where? Anyone know? Usually right on the handle. Many of them have it on the handle. You might have a spring-loaded button or a trigger, similar to this power miter. Just right where the handhold is, you have a spring-loaded trigger there. So, but on ours, that's where the switch is right there. Okay? All right, this is the table surface, obviously. This piece that is sticking up out of the table, it provides a vertical face right there. Anyone know what that's referred to as? What that surface is called? It's a fence. It's a fence. All right? And it's important to bring that up because every machine you're going to deal with from here on, except for the planer, every other machine has a fence. Anytime you see that a machine has a fence, what goes against it? Your piece. The piece you're cutting goes against it. All right? So, this has a fence. Power miter's got a fence. Table saws have fences that are adjustable. Look at that power miter back there. Sliding compound miter. They all have fences. So whenever you see a machine that has a fence, we know that your workpiece is going to go against it. That's where it's positioned to be cut. Okay? A couple other things to point out. Most machines will have some sort of identification of the area that you have to keep your hands out of, or really keep all parts of your body out of. It's sometimes called the danger zone. In some books, you may see it identified as a safety margin or a safety zone. And its shape is usually based on how the machine cuts. For example, this saw cuts along a linear path, okay, out and back, all right? And so the safety margin is linear, or it's parallel to that blade path, okay? So it's called safety margin or the safety zone, or even they call it the danger zone. But we'll identify that as we proceed forward, okay? So now let's talk about how a basic cut is usually going to go. Now most of the time you will have pulled a piece of lumber out of the rack. You'll mark it and identify it usually in either pencil or chalk, okay? So you'll have a cut line all set up and ready to go. So now, that cut line, you match that up with the blade and you make your cross cut. So in this case, I'll go ahead, if my piece goes against the fence, I'll bring the blade out to kind of match up with where the cut is, return this all the way back, just fire up, make the cut, return the saw, get the scrap out of there with an extension of the hand somehow, and that's it. That's how most of your cuts are going to go. All right? Almost all of them are going to be the same. All right? But in addition to that, note this, that many times you're going to be making multiple cuts on one board. You know, you may have 4 to 6 pieces all cut out on one board. So that cut I just made would be for one of the pieces, and then from there you'd probably slide your cut line down a little further, match it up with the blade, and make multiple cuts. So, but that's usually how it goes. Now, I don't have the dust collector running right now, just so we can hear better, particularly for the video. But normally when we operate the radial arm, you probably want to have the dust collector running. And so the dust collector, again, which is in the corner, it's just like a big giant shop vac, that's all it is. Connected all these purple ducts, you can see one comes all the way down and goes here. So right now, the gate is closed on it, so if we turn down the dust collector, opened up the gate, we would